So, so I speak very, very boldly and clearly with regards to the war of the worlds that we are currently, we all currently participate in war of the worlds. And I mean, it's not a war like a real war of the worlds without spaceship, correct? So regarding spaceships, I know that you all like spaceships. So I mean, we have those as well, because not that we need them, but I mean, we expect it, and we like to It's part of the communication. It's just sometimes, many times, like I mean, things that are on the surface level are strictly material and are there to serve a material purpose, are actually the real true purpose is establishment of communication, because you don't need spaceships, but it's something that you require in a way. I mean, to feel like dignified by I mean, so regarding spaceship, so I would say that for those who followed me for some time, sometime now, like maybe a year and a half or two, know that I actually, many times I invented a name or definition, or like I don't invent the name, but I take a given name and just paste some kind of new definition to it, or not definition, more like new meaning to it. So the clear case is the case of the word Titans, but there are many cases. So the word Neo, actually, it has in my blogs and my posts, podcasts, it's got actually three different meanings. One, let's leave it aside for now, but two of them are very clear. Because the one is, this creature, the nanobot which exists that I speculated about its existence years before we actually saw together. We've seen just now. I've seen it for the first time, but I've speculated about it since years ago, and I speculated regarding different properties that of this creature. It turns out to be much more amazing than I ever dreamed of, and I guess you as well. That no one thought it's so advanced. But I also call Neo. I call this the vessels, the craft that are in orbit around the Earth, and with the declared objective of keeping humanity behave not as bad as they can. But again, the real purpose is communication, because they are not really needed in order to subject humanity to any kind of punishment. So regarding the how, and I also, although I spoke about it in the past, that one of them is actually, doing stuff since the 70s, the 1970s. It's impossible to tell how long it's in orbit. And I know that many of them are stored like for long-term storage in the moon, and I've created several actually painting regarding this issue, and that they can come on demand from the moon. They just get out and come here and do stuff. And that one is for certain, it's not only on orbit around the Earth since the 1970s, and it's actually do all those sorts of policing activities, like warming the Earth. You know that during the 70s they stopped talking about global cooling, and then they started speaking about global warming. So I don't know how much sun flares contributed. When I was doing my bachelor degree in the university, there was a famous professor in the physics department that championship, in the worldwide community, science community, they championed the theory of sun storms that cause global warming. But then, of course, there is the CO2 issue and the human effects, but there is also the spaceship. And yeah, so regarding I had a very I wouldn't say definite, but I had like a raw image of how it looks like long before I knew how the Nero in the body looks like. I mean, I had certain very something like kind of like a long shot distant kind of understanding that they might resemble in some aspects their physical entity might resemble, but I had no clue how actually the nanobot looks like. And things, and things completely changed during the last couple of weeks with you that we actually seen it. So now, I know, I still don't know exactly how it looks like because we only have like a photograph from, view from above, and also optically, it's not a great microscope. Even without higher magnification, there is still, much to be seen, even with simple magnification, with better optics and better microscopy methods. Yeah, well, we've seen it together, so it's there. But I didn't have any clue how it looks like. So that's why, in the beginning, I was discouraged by the fact that I understood that it looks just, I thought just it looked, you probably remember that it discouraged me that I understood that I mistakenly identified many air bubbles to Neos. But, pretty quickly I understood, that I shouldn't be discouraged because, obviously, without any background, things like that happen, and it doesn't mean that the Neos do not exist. And we positively, identified many since then, and I've also seen them like doing. They have all sorts of behaviors which are typical to them. For example, they like to do to be in pairs like that. And I even speculated this kind. I've seen this, maybe it's some kind of like sexual relationship, but I really, we really need better magnification and much better optics and better, additional microscopy method in order to understand what physically do they do with each other, and there is much to learn. But we have a general idea about how they look, and yes, indeed, it looks a little bit like the one in the sky. Now, how do I know how the one in the sky or the space looks like? This I got from by way of divination, and I already told the story in the past. I don't know if you remember it. The story goes. It revolves around. It's kind of like when I picked up painting. So I always have. It's still true to this day that I have problems with how to store the brushes, because there is no like a standard way to do it. And every artist do it differently, and it's always a mess. And it's one of the simple like, that's why industrial design is so important, because there are many like simple questions of how to like operate basic stuff in like the resolve around like sometimes even day-to-day stuff in home, but certainly around like all sorts of vocations, professions, and tools that are endless list of tools that humans use, and there are many like unsolved questions. And that's why it's important. So I thought, okay, maybe let's design. Something that I didn't do until then, but I thought, at least I don't remember another opportunity. But I thought maybe I will design like a brush stand, like maybe with my own design. And I did it with clay because I work with clay and it's easy to design with clay. But unfortunately, the problem with clay is that it's very, very brittle, especially if you don't cook it in like in the industrial oven, which I don't, of course, have, which reaches 1,000 degrees Celsius. So since then it has been broken. It broke. But it was a good design. I really liked it. And while it lasted, I used it, and at some point, like I had this serendipitous moment, like some kind of like Archimedes Eureka moment that the design with the brushes in it resembles a starship that is firing actually, and like I immediately understood that it's like this is it. And it's difficult to explain how I understood it, but there are other factors as well. It's not the only, but this is the main story. There are as it is with divinations, there are always more. more argument. Definitions is like a puzzle that, I mean, I spoke about it a lot in the past, and for new audience, I'm sure that, I mean, the whole thing sounds very, I mean, like mystical and like irrational, but there is especially kind of rationality to it. So since then, I've actually painted them a lot in all sorts of catastrophe painting, which I call, it's part of the series that I call Titanomachy, like a war between Titans and humans, or Titans and Olympians. And there are quite a few like painting, I mean, or large astronomical painting with the depiction of the starship Nero's firing or radiating Earth. So I've added one now. I've like upgraded like former like models that I had, and I've added one to each of the two models, I mean, of the Earth. This is the model of the Earth. If you remember, we have the disease, we have the locked gate, and we have the ashes that resembles, I mean, it could be argued that this resembles an earthquake, but I don't know. Maybe there was also an earthquake coming. I mean, there was a big one in Turkey, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, maybe there is a much bigger one coming. I mean, but I mean, okay, this is the Earth. So this resembles the starship that are currently that revolve around the Earth. It's not new. It's been there like since the 70s. The two plates are actually signify one starship in different configuration, and none of them is actually, I mean, it's very accurate. I mean, I have better design which is similar to the one I used for the brush holder, and I will use it. I mean, but I wanted to put something in it. I mean, to make them in the model as best as possible in any given moment. But the actual model of the starship again looks like a little bit more like the brush holder, and I will work on it, and then we'll have. I mean, each one of these of the plates that you see now will be the base of a starship. So we'll have like 4 starships, which means 2 and 2, and so it means that another one will that will arrive. I mean, and start doing the radiation and all the nice things that you know how nice they affect humans. And of course, we can create more and more. And maybe I think today I mean I'll be satisfied with 2 more. I mean, 2 additional 2, and I'll try to also do. I mean, the final form will be different between the two plates, because of course we do it everything in double, but not in exactly the same way. And I think that it will be not exactly the model will be quite the same, just size difference, but the painting I'll paint it differently, like with oil colors and acrylics, which is kind of like a duality that I use since long ago, because I work with both, and they give different results, and it's kind of a way to keep the required change between the two. Between the pair, I mean, inside the pair of artworks that I use. I mean, using the symbolic language that I spoke about earlier today, or possibly yesterday. I don't remember. So I will work on it as well, and so we'll have more starship, not only 1, but we'll have 2 and 3, I think, by the end of this day. And also they will actually resemble like the actual, how they actually look, because now it's kind of like it's getting there, but it's not really there. And what I will do, it's important that I postpone it too much. Maybe this is the first thing that I will do now after I eat lunch or so, which is to start a reviving project of the worms, because I speak about it so much. And I mean, if you don't see worms by the end of this day like moving, I mean, you will say, he's just bluffing. We can keep torturing him and his daughters in the Israeli hell forever, because he said that we will see synthetic worms moving by the end of the day, and I mean, he bailed out on his promise, so we can put him eternal jail with unimaginable torture forever. So I will try to keep my promise and show you a moving worm by the end of this day. And if not a moving worm, then perhaps a moving microbe, which will also, I mean, satisfy our requirement to not only create models of animals, but actually to revive animals. More than the ones that we've already seen, that were actually so small that they were like either dots or very small rods that you cannot see anything. But we want to see like an animal, identifiable animal, perhaps using them a microscopic one. It's okay, but one that we can big enough in order that we can see details and see its movement, and to be certain that it's alive, and possibly also to be able to prove that it's not a carbon-based, natural in your, I mean, sense of the word natural life form. Okay.